Hello, and welcome to Microsoft Cost Management's Learning Series. My name is Mattison Hain, and I'm a product manager on the cost management team. Today, I'll be explaining the Azure billing hierarchy and how to allocate costs correctly using tags and cost allocation rules. Let's get started. Cost allocation is a fundamental practice in cost management of assigning costs to different groups within an organization based on their consumption of resources and application of benefits. To better understand how this is done, we first must understand the Azure billing and resource hierarchy. The Azure billing hierarchy provides logical containers that hold subscriptions and other management groups that can be used to apply policies and access controls. This hierarchy differs slightly by which agreement you have signed with Microsoft. For an enterprise agreement customer, the billing entities lead with a billing account, followed by departments and enrollments. In the Microsoft customer agreement world, billing accounts are still the parent but are divided into billing profiles and invoice sections. It is important to understand the difference between the billing and resource hierarchies. Azure billing hierarchies reflect the organizational structure of the account owner, while Azure resource hierarchies reflect the logical groupings of resources used in Azure. The resource hierarchy refers to the subscription and resource groups within an enrollment account or invoice section. These are ways to organize your resources by category, project, environment, or any other criteria that makes sense for your organization. For example, you could create a resource group for each department, application, or stage of the development lifecycle. Now that we understand the hierarchy, let's look at how to use tags to allocate costs accurately across your organization. At a high level, tags are just key value pairs that you can apply to Azure resources to group and allocate cost based on business needs. Let's create some tags. For the purposes of this demo, I'll be using an MCA test account and I'm logged into a billing profile called Contesso. On the Cost Management and Billing blade, I can create a tag by going under Settings and selecting Properties. You will then be able to see any existing tags as well as the options of creating one by clicking Add or Update Tags. For example, to identify the billing profile with the subscriptions belonging to the AI department, you could use the tag with key as department and value as AI. Now let's jump into cost analysis to view the costs associated with these tags. In the cost analysis tool, you can utilize both the filters and group by options to pivot your data by the tags of your choosing. You can do this by selecting tags in the respective dropdowns. However, even with a comprehensive tagging strategy in place, you might still find that some usage records are missing tags. To ensure all usage records are tagged, enable tag inheritance to apply subscription and resource group tags to underlying child resources automatically. To do this, we can return to the Cost Management blade of the portal and select the Configurations tab in the dropdown. You can then see options to enable tag inheritance. After tag inheritance is enabled, subscriptions and resource group tags are automatically applied to child resource usage records for the current and future months within 24 hours. To give a helpful example, the following diagram shows how tags operate in a resource hierarchy. The subscription has the tag Finance, the resource group Website, and the resource Test. Therefore, any usage under that resource has all of those tags associated with it. Now let's look at cost allocation rules. Large enterprises often centrally manage Azure services or resources, which different internal departments use. Typically, the centrally managed team wants to reallocate the cost of those shared services back to the internal departments who are actively using those services. With cost allocation rules, we can reassign or distribute the costs of shared services. Costs from subscriptions, resource groups, or tags get assigned to other subscriptions, resource groups, or tags. Note that cost allocation doesn't affect your billing invoice. The primary purpose of cost allocation is to help you charge back costs to others. and that chargeback process happens within your organization outside of Azure. To create a cost allocation rule, we can go to the cost allocation page in the cost management experience. To start, select the Add button at the top of the screen. After giving the rule a name, we must select a source, in this case, Trade Research Corporate, and that at least one target. I will select the subscriptions Trade Research Finance and IT. Then we can select the distribution methods. If there are several targets, you could choose from some preset options to distribute the cost evenly or in proportion to usage of compute or networking. In this example, I will select in proportion to networking costs. Then you create the rule. Similarly to tags, you can now view the impact of these rules when you go to the cost analysis tool in the scope of the target subscription. You can group costs by cost allocation and see costs originated from its own subscription as well as those from Trade Research Corporate. Thank you for watching and learning about cost allocation. Hopefully you now feel confident managing your Azure costs and using cost allocation rules and tags. If you have any more questions, please visit our Microsoft Learn documentation linked in the description or by watching any of our related videos. Thank you and have a nice day.